to Healthy Conversations podcast. It's been a while. So, I just wanted to first just let you guys know that I'm very excited. Just getting started back up. This is a project God gave me some time before, and I had to take some time off, but I'm back at it, back in the game, and the very first person that I get to have, I'm very honored, very thankful, is my cousin Tashiqua. She's going to be our first special guest, starting off the episodes and series that God has us going with. So I'm going to first just give her some space to share with us who she is. I would introduce her, but I feel like it's better fitting for her to do it herself. So Tashiqua, tell us who you are,
ma'am. I'm Tashiqua. I am a child of God. I am a TT. I'm very, very passionate about being a TT. I am a banker, a podcast host. I don't know. I have a skincare line, all the things, but most importantly, I'm just a vessel, just wanting to be used by God.
Amen. I'm surprised she didn't say I'm a sister cousin.
I am her sister cousin.
That's what she say all the time. I don't know where the term came from. She pulled it out the air.
Because we cousins, but we was raised like sisters.
She make up her own.
So we sister cousins.
But I receive it. But yeah, I'm very much surprised she didn't say that. But just like she said, she is very much so a woman of God. She's a great auntie. She's a great cousin. I've accepted the sister cousin. So she's a great sister cousin. But yeah, for me, I would say she is basically another sister, like another little sister for me. Like, I don't know, all our life between her and my little sister, it was either one or the other that I was trying to thump them upside the head.
Trying to do too much. Just take the love.
But yeah, she is a beautiful vessel inside and out.
Oh, thank you.
She's grown a whole lot, and I've just been blessed to see her grow, even just coming into ministry. She's always been a part in some type of way. Sometimes when you have family that's diehard a Christian, you don't have no choice. And her mom is one of those. And so growing up, she didn't really have a choice. She had a choice, but she didn't have a choice.
Not really.
It's beautiful to see her now in her space of doing it willingly and because of her true own relationship with God. So I've got to see her grow over time, and it's been a blessing. She's inspired me in different spaces, and it's been a blessing for me. I can honestly say with my transition from becoming a mom and seeing her now today, and just throughout that process, the different things that we both experienced and went through, and just having somebody to be supportive spiritually, I can say has been definitely a blessing for me. So I say that, but I ain't gonna get too mushy.
Please, Lord. My eyes were sweating a little bit.
We're gonna move forward. So I want to share with y'all. So today, our topic for what we're talking about is about standards, having standards and boundaries. And this is something that God gave me over time, just with my transition from like I said, taking on that new hat as a mom and just different things of that nature, and just helping me to see and understand, like, you need to have boundaries. And there's nothing wrong with having standards. There's nothing wrong with having boundaries. Some people try to play you like, oh, you to this, you to that. But it's like having those standards and boundaries help you to, one, stay grounded, and then also to keep that space for other people. Like, this is my goal line. Like, we're not going no further than here. Yeah. So I was going through some things, and God was dealing with me about some stuff, and he gave me the topic, standards and boundaries. And I'm like, okay, Lord. So he just like pouring into me one day. I'm in my kitchen, washing my dishes, doing my thing. And I'm like, okay, so what is this? Is this a message, or like, what is it? And God's like, I want this to be your first topic for your podcast. Like, when you get back out there, this is the first topic I want you to touch on. So I'm like, okay. So I was praying about it. I'm like, how do I go about it? And he then let me know to have my cousin come and join me. And because she's somebody that I like to say, and obviously from what God has observed, is somebody that has had great standards and boundaries. So I just kind of wanted to have her come and join us and share with us, what does that look like for her? Like, what does having standards and boundaries look like for her? So I'm going to first get started with a few questions. It's not. It ain't. You know. It ain't too. It ain't too deep to start off. But you know, the first question is, what does standards and boundaries mean to you?
Uh, um, I think having standards, I feel like I've always had standards. And I think to me, it's like standards can, it's such a wide range. It can be like how you carry yourself. You can have a certain standard with that. You can have a standard on how people treat you. You can have a standard on the rooms that you allow yourself to go into. And I think it's important to have standards, because if you do not have have standards, it's kind of like, to me, it's close to the saying, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Okay.
And so to me, it's important to have standards, because that's what you stand on. Like, you know, like that's what makes up who you are.
Yeah.
And boundaries to me is like having a safe space. You know, it's like this is the measure of what I can give and what I can't give, or what I'll allow someone to give and what they, you know. So I think to me, it's just kind of like standards is who I am, what I stand on, and boundaries is how far I'm willing to go, or the minimum I'm willing to give.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I think that's a great way how you explained it, because I feel like a lot of people sometimes can think too much into it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I think it's more or less, from my understanding and what I have learned over time, it's like basic principles of who you are at core, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like exactly all of what you said I thought was great. And I think it was a great simplistic explanation.
I was trying to make it. I'm like, girl, she said what it mean to you. She don't go too much.
We say Google. You say what it means to you.
Yeah.
No, but that was a good explanation. And then I'll go into the second question, which kind of touched on what we already talked about a little bit. But what is the framework of your standards and boundaries, and how would you say they have evolved, and or do you believe they have, or have they always been the same?
I think, honestly, I think the framework of my standards came from my parents. I think that was the ground for me. Like, they set the standard for me.
Of course.
And they built me up. They poured into me when it comes to my parents, but not just how I looked on the outside, but they actually poured into me emotionally and mentally too. Like, my parents let me know through their actions and their words to me that you can do whatever you want to do. Whatever you put your mind to, you are able to do it. Like, your standard is however high you want it to be. So if you want to shoot for the stars, shoot for the stars.
Elaborate on that just a little tiny bit, as in I guess give him just like an example, like what is a conversation or maybe a situation that happened that took place where it was something that was concrete for you concerning that aspect, like
I think honestly with my parents it's a lot, but while I was saying it, the first thing that popped into my mind was I wanted to go to Princeton when I was young. And I think at first I wanted to go to Princeton because I think I was watching, as a kid, I was watching like a show. And I think the girl that had me in awe went to Princeton, and I liked how she carried herself. And also I felt like my parents had talked to me about schools like that. And I think that is like the beginning, because I'm a girl from Pontiac. My parents are from the projects of Pontiac. So to even have that conversation with someone is already setting a standard of you need to shoot for the stars. This is how big you can go. Nobody else has even thought about Ivy League in this family, but you can. Like, it can start with you. And I think also too, I felt like my decision was like, well, because I was very much into princesses, and I felt like, well, Princeton is close to Princess, and I can find my prince at Princeton. And so, but I think that's an example of like shoot for the stars. And my parents didn't let me stay in La La Land and just think about the fantasy part of Princeton, but they also let me know, now to get into this type of school, you have to have all A's. You have to do this. Like, they let me know, like, this can be your standard, but you also have to work to get to this. So that's like the pouring inside part where it's like, you can do this. Like, I'm going to tell you that you can do this, and I'm going to build your confidence in this thing, but I'm also be real with you and tell you what you have to do to get here.
Okay,
And
I
so
think that's really good. That was kind of where I wanted you to like the core of basically like building up to that standard, like because I just want to make it clear for people watching, because some people can think of it in a perspective of just like, oh, you know, I have a dream or I have a vision for myself, you know what I'm saying, and that's fine and dandy. But if you have a dream or if you have a vision or you have this perspective of how you desire to be, but your structure and your core isn't right, then it's like, okay, what are you standing on to get there? You know what I'm saying? So that was what you said. It was exactly where I was trying to get anyways. But if you want to finish out answering the rest of the question, I don't know if you need me to say it or not, but I just wanted you to kind of go into that a little bit so people could understand and get more of a visual, like what does that look like? My parents setting those standards and boundaries for me and me receiving it, but like, what is a real life situation of where that was made concrete for me, you know?
And I think of the boundaries side, if I'm honest, that was a foreign word to me until I got in my 20s and I started to go to therapy. I think I naturally had boundaries. I just didn't have the word for it. But I did always know how I wanted to be treated because, again, just going back to my childhood, my parents treated me a certain kind of way. And it's not like, and I don't want to say it like they put me on a pedestal or like they treated me like royalty. It wasn't that, but they helped me know what my worth was. So it was like when I went into the world, if you didn't treat me a certain kind of way, like I knew what love was. I guess I'll just say always knew what love was, because not only did they love me, but I was able to see it in their relationship. So my household was very much loving, very much peaceful. Now, I'm not going to say we always, me and my dad, I will say we didn't always communicate the healthiest way. My parents did, because I think that more so come from my mom. But but then when I got older and I was having more, relationships get more serious when you get older. And that doesn't just mean like a romantic relationship, but friendships, family relationships, all of it. And I think I started somewhere along the line, I'm not gonna say I dropped my standards, but I do think I just think I didn't have boundaries. I didn't, like you said, how people think it's too deep. I didn't want to seem like I was being too extra or always having like an issue or, whatever. But honestly, you teach people how to treat you. And I had to get that back, and I didn't get that word boundary and what that looked like until I went to therapy.
Okay. Well, I'll go into my next question, but I did have a question off of what you said.
Okay.
If you don't mind, because I'm not trying to dig, too deep into
It's healthy conversation.
Hey, it's the conversation to
Exactly.
But the part where you shared briefly as far as about with going to therapy, you said it would have sound like to me, correct me if I'm wrong, there was a situation or something that took place where it caused you to be in a space mentally that you felt as though you did let down your boundaries or your standards. Can you give a little bit of light on that? Like, what was that part for you? As much as you feel comfortable with, but
are you saying like the therapy part or like me letting down my boundaries and
stuff? The letting down your boundaries part.
Okay. Yeah, I think so I was in a relationship, and it was a very, very long-term relationship. And I think, honestly, both of us needed to have boundaries. Both of us needed to have standards, even with each other. Like, I think we met each other's standards on like how we wanted to love and things like that, but I think even inside of a healthier, good relationship, you still need boundaries. And I think somewhere along the line, I just feel like we weren't communicating in a healthy way. We weren't finding solutions in a healthy way. We weren't finding solutions at all, honestly, like for some of the things. And that's why we are not together, because we just weren't able to find a solution together. And so I was allowing because I didn't want to feel like I always had an issue.
Yeah.
I feel like I started allowing less than the love that I felt I deserved. And it wasn't until I went to therapy that I realized, like, okay, some of this relationship is healthy and it's a good relationship, but there is some work still that needs to happen.
Yeah.
And because at the end of the day, I don't want to be in something and later down the line I'm unhappy because I didn't correct it.
Exactly.
And so being in therapy helped me like figure out what's my triggers, what boundaries do I need to have. I think too there was like a back and forth, like making up, breaking up thing.
Yeah.
I didn't have a boundary with that.
Yeah.
Like it was like, okay, you can keep coming and you can keep going. I can keep coming and I can keep going. That's not healthy.
Exactly.
You know, it's like, no, we have to, at some point there has to be a line drawn, and if you decide you want to leave, then you have to stay there.
Exactly.
You know. And so I think that's really what it was, like just not being able to communicate in a healthy way, and just knowing, not wanting to really stick to the truth of how I wanted to be loved.
Yeah.
And so I needed to create a boundary on that. And it's not like every single thing has to be an ultimatum, or every single thing is like, this is just what it is. Like, no, there's things I probably could have compromised on, but there are things where it's like, this is my boundary. This is my standard. Like, either you're going to stay in this realm or you're going to get out, and you're going to stay out.
Exactly.
You know,
and
if that makes sense.
No, that makes a whole lot of sense. That honestly just, I'm just flowing. I got questions, but I'm flowing.
Yeah.
But that brings me to a space of some of what God and I were talking about concerning not only personal, like romantic relationships, but also friendships.
Yeah.
Where sometimes we get in a space where we allow ourselves to be a little bit more lenient, or
yeah, that's the word I lacked. Like, yeah.
Oh, well, I know this person to be a good person to whatever degree. So I know it's not necessarily that this person is doing X, Y, and Z in a harmful manner, but we don't realize over time we pick up habits that become toxic. You know what I'm saying? Or just unhealthy. If you don't want to put in a perspective of being toxic, it's unhealthy. And unhealthy to the perspective of, like you said, concerning your boundaries or your standards of what you started with. So now you're in a space where you're like, you done kind of came back on those boundaries and standards. Like, I done got comfortable. And I know this individual, I know this guy, woman, whatever, that's a friend or romantically is not intentionally being bad, but at the same time, if it's not good for you, it's not good for you. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the thing with, myself and the conversation that God and I was having. It was actually about a friend relationship or whatever, and some family relationships too, just being 100% honest. But the issue was, I had come to a space where I was like, you know what? I recognize who I am and the things that I've been allowing to like slide and be a thing. I can't do no more. At one point in time, I wasn't doing that. And when I wasn't doing those things, y'all didn't care for me. You know what I'm saying? In a perspective of where it's like we know some people, oh, she too this, she too that, et cetera, et cetera. But now that I've let down those guards, I've let down those boundaries, I've let down those standards, now you want to accompany, you know what I'm saying? So now that I'm getting back in a space where I'm like, you know what, no, I'm standing my grounds and my principles of who I know that I am and which I know is important and is the value for me. Now there's friction in these relationships. And I think for myself, I had to have a conversation with my sister not too long ago. We were talking about some stuff as far as relationships romantically, and I ain't gonna tell her business, but I'm gonna just share just briefly, like an example. For example, it was a guy that she was like dating or talking to, and the guy basically, for example, I'm not saying this is actually what happened. He didn't bring her a hot dog when she wanted. And so she's like, what's up with you not bringing me this hot dog? And he like, well, I was thinking about bringing you the burger instead or whatever. And she like, well, why can't I have both? Why do I have to choose between these two things that is important to me? We've been in our relationship or been dealing with each other for a period of time. I honestly shouldn't even have to necessarily tell you X, Y, or Z, because we've been in that space where it's like we know each other enough that you know what's up. And the fact that we've come to this space that now you kind of like put me on I gotta choose which or what, is like, no,
and then you making me choose the thing that I didn't ask for.
So it's like, what's up with that? And
Yeah.
so she had asked me my perspective, and she's like, what did I feel like, she was doing to me? I said, absolutely not.
Yeah.
That is your standard.
Yeah.
That is your boundary.
Yeah.
And if a person is not meeting that, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I just thought I asked because, some people look at things as, oh, you're going too far,
Yeah.
you're taking it overboard. And I told her, I said,
No.
You stand on your ground, you stand on your principles.
Yeah.
If this person is not meeting X, Y, and Z from the gate,
Yeah.
just let it go.
Yeah.
And I said, I think my honest opinion concerning us women sometimes, and some men, but for the most part, I see it more so in women. When we take interest in somebody, we'll find ourselves being in a space of rather compromising or
Yeah.
being lax or being lenient because we at the glitz and glam, but we not standing grounds on our principles and stuff. So what you said just had brought me to that. And that's a framework even for friends and stuff or whatever too.
Because now that I'm older too, even with that with friendships, I feel like I didn't have enough boundaries in my friends. Do I have bad friends? No. And do they love me? Yes. But am I treating them how they always want to be treated? And then are they treating me how I always want to be treated? I'm really, really big on communication. If you can't like do something for me, or if you feel a type of way, like tell me, because you best believe if I feel a type of way, I'm going to tell you. So one of my past, I can't. I gotta listen. I gotta be free. Okay, can't nothing be hold me down. But and so I've been learning that because I looked at, because it's a friendship, I didn't have even the same standards I would hold my man to. Like, because I'm like, well, they're my friend, they're not my man. But it doesn't matter. If we're in relationship, we're in relationship. So if I expect him to communicate to me when he's feeling a type of way, or if he can't do something that he promised he would do, or whatever the case may be, I need to have that same standard for my friends too. But I will say, if you are passing those standards out, you need to be able to meet them as well.
That is very true. That is very true. And I think that's why for myself concerning friendships, sometimes I found myself feeling like the friend that was being a friend that wasn't receiving actually a friend back, because I would find myself being me, what I want for me, for other people, and they weren't necessary. Now, but I did have to understand we're all different people. And everybody, they're not you, you know. So even though they may give love or different things like that from a different way of which you would do it, when you accept the friendship, you have to realize and say, okay, well, this person is meeting my standard and my boundary, but they're coming in a way of dressed up as them. And I get that. That's fine. But if they just completely missing the mark, that's something totally different.
Dressing wrong for the wrong celebration.
You ain't even come right. You ain't even come right. But okay, no, that's good. That's good. I'm gonna go into the next question. So the next question I have is, do you use the same, which I think we kind of touched on a little bit already, but I said, do you use the same standards and boundaries concerning everything in your life, or do they change upon circumstances and people?
Honestly, for me, mines do change. Like, I think I unknowingly rank people in my life. And so I do. Not on a scale of like their performance, but on a scale more so of what they mean to me, like where they are. I would say I give people different positions in my life, if that makes more sense. So like, for you, I may hold you to a certain standard that I don't hold like one of my friends to. But I think I do take in consideration who a person is, what our relationship dynamic looks like, the level of intimacy of our relationship. I think I kind of put all of that into a pot, and I kind of be like, okay, well, this is who this person is. This is the standard that they can meet, and this is the standard also and boundary that I'm okay with. You know, so it's like, for example, I think like I'll just use you. Like I mean, I already started using you. So like someone like you versus someone maybe like a cousin that I don't talk to as often. I'm not gonna expect them to come to every single one of my events, you know, but I may expect you. Most of the time, I do expect you to come. But also because anything that you have, I'm there, and that's when I was saying, like, whatever standard you have to make sure you meet it. I can't be demanding of your presence and your heart if I'm not giving you the same thing. And so they do change, and they do change on the circumstance as well. I think you have to be mature enough to know what somebody is able to give you, the capacity of the person. Because also I lowered the standard for you when you became a mom, because I know what you can give me. Like, I know it. And so it would be selfish and ignorant for me to expect the same quail. You're not the same quail anymore. And honestly, that I had to learn that. Like, and just going back to my relationship, my ex relationship, when me and him actually finally had a conversation and got like the closure, I guess, that we needed, I told him, I think we did not allow each other to change. We didn't allow each other to become new people. So the standards and boundaries didn't shift either. Like, and so then when I became like, so like, for example, I gave him, when we first started talking, I was 19. When we stopped talking, I was 27. I was almost 30 years old. Like, that's, girl, I was legally married. What they call it? I forgot what they call it. 7 years, I was basically married. But common law marriage, that's what they call it. I was basically married. But I told him, like, when we first started talking and he wanted to give me flowers, I told him, don't give me flowers. I don't know how to take care of them. They gonna die. Give me some chocolate. Like, give me some food. Take me out to eat. I was like, that can be if you want to give me a bouquet of flowers, give me a bouquet of chocolate. But then as I got older, now I want flowers. Now I appreciate them. Now I know the simplicity of flowers bless me. Like, how something so small can be so beautiful, like, or smell a certain type of way, or just reminds me of spring, reminds me to take a deep breath and just stay in the moment. Like, now I'm old enough to appreciate them. So it's like, but if I didn't voice that to him, like, he's not meeting the standard and I'm upset. So I think your standards and your boundaries do change because you evolve as a person. The people around you evolve as well. And so I think you just have to be mature enough to know what's the phase now, because it's not what it was. So it may have to change. And then the people in your life, like, I tell people all the time, if they ask me what I want for my birthday, sometimes people look at me and like think they have to give me something expensive because of what I get myself or what my parents give me. But I tell people I only hold them to that standard. I don't hold everybody else to that standard. My parents have also taught me to be very grateful and very thankful, because nobody owes me anything. They didn't even have to give me anything. So if you get me a bracelet from the dollar store, I'm going to appreciate it, But now my parents can't come into the house with a dollar store bracelet. Like, so it is different, it does change.
Well, I think that's good how you explained it too, because I think some people would think that, no, I have to stay the same way, across the board. But I think also flowing from the previous question, understanding that everybody's different. Everybody's not going to show up the same. But once you have embraced the relationship, with whatever kind of relationship it is, romantically or friendship, whatever, work, whatever, what I'm saying, understanding and knowing who the person is, and as long as they can still meet the standards and boundary, your foundation, then I think that's what's most important. If they going crazy at the then just let them.
If they don't fit, don't force it.
We just gonna let it go. But no, I think that's a good thing. And I think sometimes too, what I've understood, that people have a fear to some degree of having standards.
Because people make you feel like you shouldn't. If it's a person that wants access in the way they want access, then they make you feel like you shouldn't have these.
Exactly. And that's something that not a part of my questions, but I just wanted to touch on briefly, because I feel like it's a lot of young women and even some men or whatever out there that need to know and understand that it's okay to draw a line. You don't have to be this person that's just blowing with the wind or just letting life happen however it's happening,
right?
Or letting people just show up a part of your life however they want to show up. Like, you don't. That's not okay.
Right.
And which is just crazy for me, because I've always been a very organized and very well like
You
structured
are.
type of person.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've been feeling like you lately. I'm getting in my bag.
That's good. That's
It is. I said my cousin would be really proud.
Oh my God. But like when it comes to just sharing a little bit about myself as far as having standards and boundaries, I didn't always have them.
Yeah.
I had them to some degree. Like I wasn't just gonna be, off the wind.
Yeah.
Like, but as far as what I have today or where I am today, I would never thought that, you know what I'm saying, that would be the case, where it's like I'm drawing lines all over the place. It's like, come on now. But before I wasn't necessarily that girl. You know what I'm saying? Like I had my basic principles on certain stuff, but to some degree it was just kind of like free flowing.
Yeah.
But over time I grew to learn and understand, first of all, having boundaries helps you to grow.
Exactly.
Boundaries and standards helps you to grow because, like you said, for one, you constantly evolve as a person, or you should anyway.
You should.
And if you're not, you got to check your foundation. You know what I'm saying? And so what God has helped me to understand in my time of learning, when it was time to let people go, they just weren't in a space of desiring to evolve. And my standards and my boundaries were still the same. But however, they were at the minimum during that time. And now that I've come up another space, now they're not even meeting that. So it's like, and then sometimes some people just don't want to. They don't want to.
And that's fine. Just take it over there.
Exactly. So, but I want to encourage whatever young women or men, or even, more up in age, to know that it's okay to have those standards and boundaries. Don't let people make you feel like you just this, goblin, because you like, you know what? I'm not dealing with this. I'm not dealing with this. I'm not dealing with that. These are certain factors and things that I will stand on for you to be a part of my life. And if you can't meet that, that's okay. I'm not mad at you. I'm not upset with you. I'm very much comfortable with what I already got. But if it need be that it's God's will for you to be another, portion or another part of, my life, I'm open and I'm willing to it, as long as we're in alignment. And having your standards and boundaries, honestly, is another form of keeping you in a space of alignment. And if you're not having those basic principles just for yourself, and you just allowing people to come in and do whatever, your life is going to be a ruckus. Like, it's going to be a mess. Stuff will be out of order. You won't be organized. Like, people will come in and go however they want, and you just continuously let them just come in and come
you'll
out.
Keep picking your face off the floor.
And I think that was somewhat of the part where me and God came to, because I was in a space of just evaluating the relationships, and those that needed to go, those that were just dwindling on their own, and those that I needed to hold on to. And because of that, brought me to that understanding of the principles of standards and boundaries. And so I just wanted to make sure that I encourage people.
And if I can just touch on it too, boundaries is biblical. The Bible tells us to guard our hearts.
That's the truth.
And that's not to say to have unforgiveness or have walls up, but I remember seeing this clip of Philip Mitchell, and he said, you owe everybody love, but you don't owe everybody access.
That's the truth.
And he was saying, like, you see me out and I shake people's hands, but I won't be their friend because I owe them love, but I don't owe them access. And having boundaries is God letting you know, like, you can love them, but that doesn't mean I want them a part of your life like this, And so, and it's okay. And if somebody have a problem with it, you say, this is in the Bible. Like, please take it up with God. If you don't like it, you don't like him.
No, but I think that's a very good saying. Like he said, we are called to love everybody. Just God love your neighbor as you love yourself, all that good stuff or whatever. But however, I don't have to give you access.
Exactly.
God can deal with me about somebody in a whole nother country. I love them just as I love my brother and sister. I'm praying for them just as I love my brother and sister.
But that don't mean I'm about to go to relationship. And I'm not about to go to their house. And they not coming in mine.
That part too. That part too. So no, I think that was a very good point on that. But okay, I'll go to our next question. It says, I'm asking, has being saved helped you to improve in the area of not only setting standards and boundaries, but sticking to them? And how and why do you believe that so?
Oh, 100%. 110%. Yes. I think and I'm really, really passionate about this. This makes my heart melt because I think it really, because it blesses me, because I really believe that my dad did an amazing job with loving me and telling me, teaching me how I should be loved. Teaching me how I should be loved. Like even today is Valentine's Day, and he has a table full of gifts for all the women, like his daughter, his granddaughters, his wife. You know, like I read over his love letter to my mom today, and they've been married this year. They've been married this year 30 years, and he wrote her a love letter today and put it in her gift. And so I think seeing stuff like that, like, gave me the standards, gave me the boundaries. He set the foundation, but my relationship with God, like, shot it the out the ballpark. Like it went to a whole nother level because, and while we were actually, I was thinking about it while you were saying, when we were talking about one part of it, of the, conversation, because people will constantly try to tell me, because I'm single and because I've been celibate, for quite some time, they'll constantly try to tell me my standards are too high. What I want from a man, I'm not gonna find that, because my thing is, I want someone told me literally yesterday, you want a finished product. I said, I do, because I'm a finished product. And he was like, well, nobody's perfect. I said, no, but my standard of the finished product, I'm meeting it. So I need somebody to meet it too. Like, I need, if I'm pouring into myself mentally, I'm pouring into myself spiritually, I'm also worried about what is going to elevate my confidence. I went and got my teeth fixed. Like, that's another little thing I wanted to do for me. I'm changing how I eat. I'm structuring my weeks. Like, I'm being very intentional with my life. Why would I want to accept anything that's going to disrupt that? You need to do the same for yourself. And so, but that all came from God. Like, God started telling me, plan out your weeks, get more organized, like, plan out your days. And of course, things are going to happen throughout life. You just go and you adjust, like, but I want you to get organized. And this is not, at first it was kind of hard because I'm like, who am I doing this for? Why am I got? How do I got to do all of this? Like, Lord, why? But it's like, no, God is pouring into me to make me better. Exactly. And so that I can attract better, and so I can show up better, and so I can have, God cares about my mental peace. God cares about my emotions. And when I'm not organized, I feel overwhelmed and I don't accomplish the things that I need to accomplish. So God is like, okay, well, here's a practical thing to make sure you stay on your P's and Q's. Like, and then God told me, change your diet. Like, these are the standards that God will give you when you, like, my dad taught me how to love myself. He taught me the love that I should experience. But God is like, I'm going to show you another way to love yourself. Exactly. Like, I'm going to give you another standard. And now I need to start working out because I understand God has dealt with me of, God can give you a miracle and God can structure your body. Like, he can do all those things, but God also tells you to take care of your body. Your body is a temple. Exactly. And so God is like, I need you, if you want to be healthy, because I said, Lord, I want my whole 120 years healthy. Like, I want it because I want to see the blessing of God. I want to see the generational blessing. And so I'm like, God, this is what I want. So God is like, okay, well, this is what you need to do. So, like, my standards continuously grow. And then honestly, like, God showed me how to love myself even deeper. Like, and God has loved on me even deeper. So my standards of what I expect, like, I don't want just the man that's going to take me to the movies, but I want the man that's going to pray over our household. Exactly. Like, I want the man that's going to go to war for me in his prayer room and for our family before they even get here, like I'm doing, And so it's like, yes, God has completely, like, and then God also will tell me, like, God will tell you what boundaries to have with people as well. Like, honestly, like, me even being single and being celibate, and God's like, you don't need to talk to this person after this time. Amen. That's a boundary. Amen. Like, because what we talking about at midnight? We talking about dreams, and then we talking about other stuff. Like, we know what's going on after. What they say, ain't nothing open but legs after midnight. So what is our conversation about? 9 o'clock for me. pray for me
Might
after
be
midnight.
8:30.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, God definitely 100% has set more boundaries, set more standards, and just expanded them. And people don't like it. People always try to tell me I look crazy. I look like I'm waiting for it. No, that's not what they tell me, but I know that's what they looking like. I look crazy or I'm waiting for a unicorn. And that's okay. Because I know the promise. And sometimes the Bible literally says that God he confuses the wise. So like,
but they wise within their own eyes.
exactly.
That's not the wisdom of the Lord.
Exactly.
So it's like, make it
So,
make sense.
but yeah, so but I know what God has shown me, and I know the promises. I know who I'm becoming. They can only see where I'm at. God has already shown me who I actually am, where I'm going. And people only see you in certain spaces anyways. Like they don't see the fullness of who you are. So my standards is based on the fullness of who I am, not what you can see.
And the fullness of what my Father has shown me.
Exactly.
What my Father has told me. Because honestly and truthfully, even still with God, He don't give us the full picture.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? He'll help us to know and understand where He's taken us and who He's called us to be. But we still don't even have the full picture of.
I just tell Mom, people think we always got it all figured out. We be in the dark too sometimes.
I'm just following faith.
Exactly.
Keeping my eyes closed.
Yes.
And just
walk by faith, not by sight.
That part right there. But I think what you were saying was really great, and I reason why I wanted to elaborate on that is because I feel like two things. One, and I might upset some people, but it's okay. But when it comes time as far as for a transition from being in the world to then now giving your life to God, we're just talking about standards and boundaries right now.
Yeah.
We ain't even talking about the whole shebang. You know what I'm saying? But I want to help people to know and understand with gaining a relationship with God, with desiring to give your life truly to Him requires change.
Yeah.
She's evolved, she's changed concerning her standards and boundaries, and technically somebody else may see what she already had as being a great thing.
Yeah.
Because maybe somebody else didn't have that father to love on them and to show them and help them to see what the standard is as far as a man romantically coming and being a part of her life. Maybe they didn't have a mother to pour into her and give her the wisdom, the guidance, the spiritual, tools that she needed to grow and be the woman that she is today. Somebody else might think, oh, that was just a nice basket already wrapped up with a bow on it, like that's good to go. But she got in a relationship with God and said, God said, let me help improve what you already have. He didn't take away what she had, but He helped improve so that way she can be who He's called her to be.
Yeah.
She had a vision and an image of what she assumed that she would be just because of what her parents poured into her, which was a good vision. Somebody else may say, oh, well, I never had a thought to go to Princeton.
Right.
I can even tell you what I would want to go to Princeton and study. You know what I'm saying? Like they maybe didn't have that, but you already had a vision or a visual that you wanted set for yourself. And then God comes in and says, okay, well, now I'm going to add a businesswoman to that.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to add an author to that. Now I'm going to add a podcaster. Now I'm going to add wife to that. Now I'm going to add mother. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's shaped up in a way so beautifully because God's hand is on it. And so I wanted to touch on that because I feel like what I know and I've observed, a lot of men and women say that they're saved or that they're giving their lives to God and they don't expect to change.
Right.
There's no way. For one, you shouldn't be in this world, even if you didn't have a relationship with God, you shouldn't be in this world living day by day and not making any type of progress or change to your life. That's our purpose. One of our purposes being here is to consistently evolve. Time has evolved. History has evolved. All these different things has changed over time. Why do you as a human being think that you should not evolve as well?
Yeah.
You're supposed to. But when it comes to the standard as far as being saved and being unsaved, when you take the time to give your life over to God, all the things that are old pass away. Now, if there are things that is still good principles and things, like for instance, like what she shared, those were still good principles and boundaries that was instilled in her through her family. So God didn't necessarily take those things away, but what he did was just put a little bit of more oil on it to
Yeah.
brush it up and clean it up a little bit more and add a little sprinkle to there to make it, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
exactly what God has called for it to be. So I wanted to just touch on that because, like I said, I it's disheartening to see a lot of people claim, and I'm not trying to point no fingers or make nobody feel, less than or anything like that, or whatever the case might be. But I just want to point out and help people to know and understand when you take the time to truly give your mind, your heart, your life to God, it's going to be changed.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Well, and the Bible says that I create a new thing.
Exactly.
And I do a new thing. So it's like on that side of the standards and boundaries, like that meant I can no longer go certain places that I was going. I could no longer listen to the certain music that I could listen to. Like there is even a church version to me, church version City Girls. I don't listen to it.
Oh my
That's
God.
a boundary for me because I know the lifestyle that I lived before, and I know I loved listening to the City Girls. And so if I get a church version of that, it's gonna make me feel like I'm back. Like no, I can't do that. So like that's the thing. Like and my friends and family know that too. Like now I can say that I was blessed for most people in my life to understand and just go with it and still be supportive. But even if they wasn't, even if they didn't, like this is the new standard because I'm new. Like I'm not the same person. Like you said, the foundation is still the same, but the things that I did, the places that I went, the things that I indulged in, I'm not drinking liquor, like because the Bible tells me to be sober minded. They're like, and people like to say, oh, he's talking about spiritually sober and this and that. All sober, spiritually, mentally, sober, sobriety, like it's all in one. Like this is what he's called me to be. Like this is where he's called me to do. And it's not like, because some people think Christianity is a list of rules, but God took me drunk. God took me angry. God took me with unforgiveness. God took me with these things. And the desire to not do them was my desire for him.
Exactly.
So it wasn't like I came and started changing all of this. Like, no, I just chased after God. And when things were no longer a desire, I laid them down and I just walked away from them. And I just didn't go back because now my standards are different. Now my boundaries are different.
I thank you for touching on that because that's pretty much what I wanted to be elaborated on. Like when you come to God, like you said, I came a mess.
Yeah.
Those that know me personally or even know me from my past life, like I today am totally different from what I was in the past. You know what I'm saying? And even in my stumbling block, I'm still different from where I was.
I'm different from last year.
So, I'm different from last week. No.
Listen, baby, sometimes it is yesterday. Lord, now now that was a mess. I'm sorry. Like
no, but being 100% real, like exactly what she said, and I like that you broke it down and just like made a clear playing field for people to see. Like we're not saying when you decide to give your life over to God, you come already made up and perfect.
No, you
That's
can't.
not what we're saying. What we're saying is in your pursuit of having a relationship with God, there should be change.
Yeah.
You should not be a man or woman of God or professing to be a man or woman of God and you're still doing exactly what you did when you showed up to him.
Exactly. Because you don't want change at this point.
Absolutely not. You're saying, I'm going to put my desires over yours. And that's not true relationship with God.
No.
Her whole purpose is to be Christ-like. And our whole purpose of continuing with the relationship is for us to be more like him.
Yeah.
And so if you're not daily working on being more like him, or being in the image, of God, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're just professing to be Christ-like, but you're not actually putting forth the effort, the energy, the time to pursue God the correct way. I'll just be 100% honest.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not here to shame anybody or condemn them, but I did want to touch on that because I feel like a lot of people have that thought process. Even people that aren't saved, to be 100%
Yeah.
honest, is like, why I gotta change? I'm gonna be me, this just who I am. And it's like,
But that's not who
no,
he called you to be.
that's not who God called. That's not
Yeah.
who your creator called you to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the part that I got out of what you were elaborating on from the previous question, the core of it is I'm living with a purpose. I'm
Mm-hmm.
living on purpose.
Yeah,
I'm not just
intentional.
daily getting up and just letting life just be
Yeah.
whatever it is. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you should daily want to get up and pursue what your purpose is in
Yeah.
life. You know what I'm saying? And whatever that is concerning your relationship with you and God, making sure that you're in alignment of whatever your purpose is.
Yeah.
And for you, God is put his hand on you where he's like, okay, I need you to get more organized. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. Those are things to help concerning the area of you being a mom, you being a businesswoman, you being, you know what I'm saying? You're going to need all of that.
Yeah.
And it's right now is like you said, what am I doing this for? But it's like, in due time, you'll see this is all going to make sense.
Yeah.
It's helping you right now already because it's like my day to day, I'm at ease.
Yeah.
I'm not stressed. I don't feel weighed down. I don't feel like I got the world on my shoulders. I don't feel like I'm all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people, even when it comes to the business world, a lot of times of why people can't actually be in a space of succeeding or properly executing is because they all over the place.
Yeah.
You're trying to touch a million things instead of being focused and being in proper alignment of what you need to.
Yeah.
So living on purpose is what you should be doing, y'all.
Yeah.
I just want to say that.
100%.
So I'll go to my next question and then we'll wrap it up as the Lord sees fit. If you could give a few words of encouragement to any young woman or man who's struggling with having standards and boundaries, what would you tell them?
Oh, that was the chair. I think so. I'll just start by saying one of the things I tend to tell like my friends and my nieces, one of the things I live by is like, do you love them more or do you love you more? Like, and do you love God more? But before we even get into, because I honestly believe that God will take your love because he loves you so much. But to truly, truly love God, you have to understand what love even is. Like, and you can't, if you don't understand what love is, you can't love yourself. You can't love God, And so I think the question like is, who do I love more? Like, yes, the greatest commandment is to love God, love your neighbor as yourself, which means you have to love you. And so I think just to start off, it's like, who do you love more? Like, are they worth more than you're worth? Like, we have to measure it. And I remember telling my niece, because she was like telling me, it's really hard to leave people. And I said, it is. It really is hard to leave people. When you love them and you've invested, like you've poured yourself into somebody, it is hard to walk away from that. And I said, but the one thing that I did to walk away from my relationship, and I've never said this publicly, but one of the things that I've done, that I did, and I think my therapist actually had told me to do it, but I made a list. And I was like, this is so cliche, just like the movies. But on my list, I put, what does it cost? And I wrote down everything it cost me to stay in this relationship and everything it cost me to leave. And at the end of it, me staying was too expensive. And so that is what helped me leave. And that is what helped me have my boundaries and keep my standards, because I remember my why. Like, and so I think you have to love yourself. You have to know that you love you more than, like, God does. You are going to sacrifice a lot with God. You're going to sacrifice a lot when God calls you to love on people and things like that. But God is not going to allow you to be trampled over. And so I think you have to understand like your love for yourself. And then you have to have confidence in your decision. And you have to remember your why. Why am I setting these boundaries? Because if you're not a person that has had boundaries, it is going to hurt you and it is going to hurt the other people. And they're not going to understand it. And it's okay. They don't have to understand it. You may not even fully understand it, but you know how you feel when these boundaries are crossed and when you feel violated. And so you have to stick to your why. And I would just encourage people to know your why, know your worth, know, like, love you, discover you. Discover what loving you feels like, and allow God to love on you, because then you will learn even more about love and loving yourself. I tell people all the time, like, my dates with Jesus, I knew I loved myself and I knew what I wanted in relationship, but I believe that my dates with God, like, helped me learn even more. Like, it helped me put my fantasies to life. I guess I could say, like, it brought them more like practical things. And I think in those moments, God is like, and it's okay that you want this. The right person for you is going to meet this. And that's even with, like, friendships, like having boundaries with friendships. Like, sometimes I believe you have to show people that love that you're expecting, and then they can give it back to you. And so until you understand the boundaries and the standards, other people are not going to, if that makes sense. No, I don't know. So I would just say, discover you, discover your love, your worth, and when you find it, stick to it. Like, and you are gonna be persecuted for it, but it's okay, because people will either change to meet it or they will leave, and that's okay. Because then it'll also let you know what their love level for you is. And if their love level doesn't match your love level, then they need to go anyways.
That's so funny, because that was somewhat a part of mine in my sister conversation. She's like, you don't deal with me like I deal with you.
Yeah. And like we said, now people do have different love languages. And I don't know who came up with that, but I think that was brilliant, because it do show you, like, I can still love you, but it just may not be how you love, and that is okay too. Like, but like you said, you got to meet something though. Like, you have to.
Can't be on the floor.
Because I know mine, like, I'm really big on physical touch. I'm big on quality time. I'm not gonna lie. I need all 5. I do. I need all 5, but I do rank them. So, like, I think quality physical touch probably is number 1. That's a reassurance for me. Like, you can tell me what you love about me all day long, but if you don't show me, I don't know. Like, you're just talking to me. And I think too, because I've seen my dad. My dad is very affectionate. So, like, I grew up seeing him, like, dote and love on my mom. And so it's like, maybe to me that's what expressing your love is. And then I think oh yeah. And then I would say, like, quality time is another one. And so mine, it be split between words of affirmation and gifts. Okay. Because I love a good gift. Honestly, that gift could be your affirmation. Oh my Lord. But yeah, so I think, it can come wrapped in a different package, but as long as you still meet it, like, even in your way of showing me, you still show me, and it meets the standard, we good. But if it's not the same and you down here, you got to stay down
Just
there.
let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah.
No, I think that was really good what you said. And I think one of the things that stood out to me the most was, for one, for people to first understand and know what love is. Understand and know what love is. Understand and know what standards and boundaries are. Understand what value is.
Yeah.
Because I can honestly say, for myself, not the fact that it was like I wasn't raised in a home where there was love given, but my mom was a very more so emotionally withdrawn person. So her love was tough love. Everything was in strength. Everything was, you had to be, this tough exterior. And so when I would see or experience people showing love in the more of a touch here or giving a hug and doing all that, I'm like, what is they doing? Like, like that's too much.
Yeah.
And I was always very withdrawn
Mm-hmm.
in those spaces until I grew my relationship with God, of course, and then also just some maturity over time,
Mm-hmm.
and beginning to be able to know and understand like this is a different form and fashion of what love looks like.
Yeah.
Tough love, or I guess I would just say tough love because I don't want to use the wrong word, but tough love is still exactly that. It's
Mm-hmm.
still love, but
Yeah.
it's a toughness to it.
Mm-hmm.
And more so in a perspective of like, for instance, when God corrects us.
Yeah.
That's tough love.
Yeah.
He still loves you, but
Yeah.
he's gonna let you know
Discipline
you need to be disciplined. You
Yeah.
did wrong, get it together. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? With my mom, I feel like to some degree, I guess, especially with me being the oldest, it was like I always got the disciplinary
You
part,
did.
So,
I'd be like, now if that was my cousin, her head would be between the washer and the dryer.
So it was like I always got that, part or whatever. And it took now for me to be in relationship with God where I'm still really learning
Mm-hmm.
what does love look like,
Yeah.
and that has helped me to shape with my relationships and in all various ways,
Mm-hmm.
whether family, friends, romantically, all of that. And so I do think that was like the core of what you said that I felt to be very important. I wanted to point out to people, like, if you don't take anything else from what she said, take the time to sit and evaluate and really just sit with yourself to understand and know, like, what is love?
Yeah.
What have I been shown
Mm-hmm.
that love is?
Yeah.
And is that what God says that love is, or is this just been because it's was a part of my environment, or
Yeah.
maybe it's still a part of your environment? And you need to come to a space of properly understanding what true love is. And honestly and truthfully, the only way you're going to get that is through God.
Yeah.
God is love, and God, even though we as human beings, we give off the effect, or we may distribute certain, various of what love looks like. To find what true love is, you'll never get it until you get in relationship with God.
Yeah.
And I feel like gaining that knowledge, that wisdom, that understanding of that at core will also help you concerning your boundaries and your standards concerning life.
Yeah.
Because like she said, we're supposed to love our neighbors, but as we love ourselves. So how do you love yourself?
Yeah.
And if you're somebody, I'm be 100% transparent and just, whatever, because this is not entirely on topic, but if you're somebody that is just giving your body to everybody,
Yeah.
that's not loving you.
No.
Like, you don't have a boundary or a standard concerning your worth, who you are. How are you valuing yourself if you're sharing yourself with everybody?
Yeah.
And not even just from the perspective of necessarily being sexual. We can even say it from the perspective of allowing people to have access to you.
I was gonna say, or people pleasing.
Yeah, people pleasing. That's the biggest one. Like, I can honestly say, as a small girl, that was me. Like, I was like a chameleon. I could shape and form whatever was needed because I wanted to be whatever that person wanted. You know what I'm saying? And over time, it didn't do nothing but bruise me so many times because, like I said, I will be a friend to people, which I assume that I was supposed to be or whatever, but never really realizing they were not that for me. I didn't pay attention to the red flags or the signs and stuff that I needed to see. And so I just want to just piggyback off of that encouragement that she gave and just help y'all to, see, if y'all don't take anything else, take that part at core. First, understand and know what love is, and understand what value is, what standards and boundaries are, and then go from there.
Can I just say one more
Go
thing
ahead.
too? Since this is healthy conversations, I feel like this will be this will be a really good, because I know we probably need to wrap it up. But when you talked about like your mom showing you that tough love, I think, and this is for men, I think this is why it's so important for men to be in the household, because if I can be honest, my mom showed me the same thing.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to women raising women, they want to show us, especially if you're, and I never try to make things like a race thing, but especially a Black woman, you have to be, we're taught you have to be strong. Like, my mom would tell me, I'm going to give you today to cry about this, but tomorrow you have to put your big girl panties on and you got to get up and keep moving. Like, so with my mom, it was strength. Like, that's what she taught me. Like, and I tell her that all the time, like, you were the epitome of strength for me. And honestly, just for like our family, there is nothing but women.
Yeah.
And it's same thing for my dad's family. Honestly, like the pioneers are 4 women,
Yeah.
4 Black women, and
all
strong women. And so like and men want us to be feminine so bad because they want us to be they want us to be submissive, but they're not creating an environment for us to do so. Ooh. And so when we have been able when we've been raised by strong Black women who have had to be masculine for so long, only thing they know what to teach now, femininity is gone. Like there's a science that shows like women have to be loved and put in certain environments for that. What is it? It's like a chemistry or estrogen that even is developed, but it's only developed when we're put in certain environments. It's like a flower. We have to be placed in certain environments to be feminine. And but if we're in environments that are shrinking that estrogen and making masculinity come up more, then that's what you're gonna get. And so I think even for our family, like they were taught strength. And so my mom, I remember her telling me like that the Lord had to tell her to show me love, because if not, I would grow up thinking that she didn't love me. But going back to like what I wanted to touch on is like my dad was the balance for me, because my mom taught me strength, but my dad taught me how I should be loved by a man. And so it was like you weren't able to, and this is no bash, but you weren't able to get that because your mom had to be a strong, independent Black woman. And so she didn't always, like I said, because that estrogen was shrunken, she didn't always have that hat to pull out, and so it was like, well, I have to teach her just in case she's in this situation. She got to know how to navigate this. And so it's like, this is why men, it's so important, do not go out creating households that you're not going to be in, because your daughter needs that balance. Like men always say, like a man needs to be raised by a man, and that's very much true, but you also need that, like men also need to be there for their daughters, because we need to know that we can be loved. Like I told people all the time, I'll always have a Valentine. I'll always have one. My daddy said, when you get married, nope, I'm always have. Yes, I said I came into this world with a Valentine. I'm gonna leave knowing that he was always my Valentine, because that my dad loved me like that, And so I just want to touch on that. Like it's very important. Like man, y'all got to step up, and y'all have to be that example in the household for your son and your daughter. Like you have to love on them so that your daughter always gets in environments that brings out her feminine side and not her masculine. Exactly.
And that was the biggest part of what you said that I appreciated even myself, because I'm understanding, like, I get that balance now in my relationship with God.
Yeah.
God has taught me, even shaping on some of the things that my mom had already instilled in me. But then he have those times too where he's like, no, this is the space where I need to depend.
Yeah, girl.
Don't try to be try to be Miss Independent.
It is IND. It is hard.
I was like, God, I love you, but he like, I need you to just depend. Be soft. This is the space where you trust me.
Yeah.
Allow me to come in.
This is where you can let your hair down.
Exactly. Allow me to come in and fill those spaces, be the man that I am to take care of you.
Yeah. And
I think that has been the biggest blessing for me over time, through and through with my relationship with God, just how he has taken care of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think through that, even through after me having my daughter, being pregnant and all that or whatever, like it has sharpened my understanding of what love is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I did all of what I did. God could have been like, you know what, girl, I'm done. Like, you went this time being faithful. You done failed. Like, I'm done with you now. I'm like, I'm gonna find somebody else to go use. I got 100 million people on this earth that I can use. I ain't got to use you now.
Yeah.
But God, in that moment of time, was like, no, let me love on you more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think naturally, like from what you were sharing, what it sounds like to me, that's what a father does.
Yeah.
He gives that balance. He gives that softness. He gives that love. He gives that warmth. Not saying that the mother doesn't, but if you have one that's more so displaying strength, you need the other one to help you to be able to get the softness. Yeah. And so I think that was great. That was right on time. And the message to the men.
Yeah, get it together.
You a father on your way to be a father. You aspire, even a husband, brother, whatever.
And don't just be in the house, but be active in the house.
Yeah, because that's one thing I will say too. Like, the difference was her father was in her home, very active, etc.
Mm-hmm.
My stepfather, I guess I would say, not entirely because him and my mom, they didn't marry, but they was together long
For a
enough that
long
they
time.
should have been
They was
married.
common law married too.
But he was in the home.
Yeah.
You know, there was times where he was in the home on a consistent, basis for a period of time. And then there was times as I got older that they started to be sporadic. But however, he was always the man that was, since I was 3 years old, he was always the man that was there in a part of our life. So with that being the case, you would have assumed that I have that balance too. But he was there, but not entirely present.
Mm-hmm.
Not present in the manner of which I needed to be a father.
Yeah.
And so that's what made the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So the certain special things or whatever that was needed as far as a father, I would necessarily grab from her dad, because the way he is with his wife and with his daughter, that's how he is with women.
Yeah.
He loves on women.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that stimulated.
He ain't no pervert now.
Okay, yeah. But that stimulated from his foundation and who raised him. You know, his grandmother taught him how to properly love on a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And how to take care, how to be there, to secure and, be of security to a woman.
Yeah.
So that is who he is at core. It doesn't matter who the woman is. Now, I'm not saying that his wife and his daughter doesn't get more specialties, because I'm sure they do. But any of his nieces, like she said, his granddaughters, when we come into the picture, he treats us the same.
Yeah.
I'm going to show y'all what it means to be loved. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell him if you want, my uncle will. Don't worry about it. I ain't going to think too hard on it. But just to wrap everything up, I think what you shared was really great, and I really enjoyed this healthy conversation. I'm just thankful for what God is doing and just the direction of which He's taking me concerning everything. This is this is my baby. Bible study, me doing Bible study and all that stuff. That's my ministry, and that's my first love when it comes to doing the things of God. Of course, that was like the first thing that I stepped out doing concerning being trusted by God to do anything. But now I'm moving forward with my podcast, and so now I'm like, this my baby too now. So it's like, okay, God, I need your direction. Like, lead me, guide me, show me the way. And I think so far, getting started off, I was a little bit unsure. I didn't know exactly like what everything would look like, but I'm starting to get a better understanding of what healthy conversations is about. So I thank you for coming, being
for having me,
our first guest, and just starting this thing off right. Getting started off with the year, getting started off with whatever episodes and stuff God will have me to share. And I think just starting off with this topic was really great. I didn't know where God entirely was going with it. So
if it's the conversations to wholeness, you can't be whole without no boundaries and standards.
That's true. And I mean, and honestly, it's so crazy because when I took my backdrop out, I remembered the healthy conversations part, but I forgot about the conversations.
I almost wore my healthy conversation shirt.
I almost wore.
But I was like, let me not put this on.
No, but it's a blessing because it's like you never know what God is doing. You never know where God is going.
And this is something that is needed, though. Like, it's really, really needed in our community and just in the Christianity community, period. There needs to be healthy conversations.
And I think another thing, and we're gonna be done. But one thing that you said that really was a big thing for me, and which I was sharing with your mom, has like really been a big thing for me, is communication, proper communication. And so to know that God is like, okay, I need you to step out in this area of teaching people how to have healthy conversations, touching on areas that people don't really like to talk about, don't really want to touch on, but creating a safe space so that it can be had. Because I think these are topics, situations, things that we navigate through life all the time, and we just brush over. And it's like it's time that we have a space that people feel comfortable, feel safe to say, okay, can I say something about that? You know what I'm saying? So I just thank God for the move. I thank God for you being a vessel.
Can I say one more thing?
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know if this is God or not, but I also just feel like this is gonna be something that kids that can't have these conversations at home are able to have. Like, like this is gonna be a safe space where kids can actually learn things. And I'm not saying little kids, but I'm saying like young adults,
Yeah.
teenagers, things that they don't feel comfortable with saying at home or learn, or parents, they don't have the parents to teach them. Like, this is going to be a platform for them to learn these conversations, like to know the boundaries, to have the standards, you know, to just navigate life, because not everybody has that safe space.
That was good, and I received that. It's not by far at all, because as I think about it, when I first started, and I did my launch. It was majority of like not high school, college students at the time that I was connected with to like, you know, draw in and invite them to come. And so that's a blessing. I received that. I believe what God has in store will be what it's going to be. And I'm just thankful for what God is doing. But to wrap everything up, everybody, because we're, you know, we get in there. I just like to thank y'all for coming and supporting, being a part of this. I thank my cousin for allowing God to use her to come and share this topic and just share the wisdom of God that God has imparted into you, just your stories and just some things that, you know, people needed to hear. You know, people, I'm not 100% sure. I can't say what all people do or don't know about you, but I feel like also too, this is a way for people to kind of learn a little bit about who Tashika is. You know, who are you? You know, where did this woman of God come from? Like, how did she start? Where did it go? Even though we didn't get all in her business, it was enough for God to understand who she is as a person. So I just like to thank God for it, and I thank you all for coming and being a part. We will see you guys again for our next episode. Have a good one.